I was born Kershaw County Hospital, which is in Camden, South Carolina.
Okay.
But most of my family from Rembert, South Carolina. It's about 15, 20 minutes distance from each other, so.
Is that where you ended up growing up?
Majority, yeah. I went to school in Camden too, so, it was kind of back and forth. I got family there and I know friends in Camden, so I'd be back and forth, so.
Now, if somebody is not familiar with either of those cities, what's the closest major city one would be familiar with?
Columbia.
Columbia, South Carolina.
Yeah.
And how far is that?
That'd be about 30, 45 minutes, depending on how fast you drive.
Mm.
Yeah.
What about like a Myrtle Beach?
Myrtle Beach about an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Okay, just curious.
Yeah.
And do you still reside in Camden today?
I do. Well,
okay.
Camden, Rembert, same thing.
Now, growing up in Camden, and then, you said the other city too, what was that like? Can you paint that picture for us?
It's real countryside living. A lot of houses spaced. They're not really together. There's a lot more land out there. Farm type environment. Just a normal country area. It's not too city like. You don't get too city till you get to Columbia, so,
Mm.
Yeah.
And then also too, in just trying to keep a history here, you moved from Camden to that other city at one point in your life, or you're just traveling back and forth type of thing?
It's just back and forth.
Okay,
yeah.
So you really stay in Camden the whole time?
Majority, yeah. But like I said, all my family down in Rembert, so.
Now, is it a certain part of Camden you represent?
I wouldn't say that.
Okay.
When you think of Camden as a whole. So once you hit the city limits up there, you're pretty much Camden bound. So it's not a specific area because everything is everything up there. So, but we do have different parts in Rembert. We got one side to where I usually stay at, where my grandma basically raised us up at, and my mom and daddy. So there's another side of that you hit along the lines that takes you to Camden. It's a certain road that takes you that way. So, yeah, it's a little tricky, but it's all the same, really.
You mentioned grandma raised you?
She played a major role in whenever my parents had to work or, were doing things. She definitely stepped up to the plate.
Grandma on which side of the family?
My daddy's side, my mama's side too. So, both of them pitched in a lot.
You grew up in a two-parent household?
I did, yeah.
Now, good relationship with both parents today?
Oh yeah, love them to death.
And are they still together?
They're not, but they do work together to, make the best for everything around us. So, me and my brother.
What age were you when they separated?
I want to say 18, 19.
Okay.
They did wait till we graduated from high school before they decided to split, so.
That was a conscious decision?
Right, absolutely.
Growing up financially, what class would you say you were in?
Well, I always saw it as rich, poor. We wasn't rich. I think we were comfortable. And then, I guess when they started going through their issues, things started to change. It got rough. It did. I kind of had to step up, be the man of the house once my daddy moved out. So it got rough. It did. And I was only working a part-time job at the time, so I couldn't chip in with, bills on everything, but I did the best I could. And then on top of that, I had a son at 18, so it was a responsibility for me as well, so.
Now, you say comfortable. There are a few financial classes. There's obviously middle class, lower middle, upper middle, and then rich and poor.
Right.
More specifically, middle, lower middle, upper middle?
I would say upper middle.
Okay.
My dad was a truck driver, and then he did carpenter work on the side whenever he wasn't driving trucks. My mom was a cosmetologist, so There's pretty good money flow running through.
Dad was on the road a lot?
He was home every night, you know, but definitely Monday through Friday he was on the road driving, so he did make it home, so.
Now, you have a child at 18, a teenage father.
Right.
Were you still in school or were you done with school?
I was still in school my first year of college, and I was playing football at the time too, so it got to the point to where just seeing him on the weekends wasn't enough. And I know my mom had him taking good care of him, but I just couldn't deal with that. So I quit school and I got home and got a job and did the best I could with him. And it got to the point to where I had to leave my part-time job to get a full-time job just so I could make ends meet and do the best I could as a father to take care of him. So I did the best I could, and I'm still doing the best I can.
Now, when it came to school, growing up, what kind of kid would you say you were in class? How would you characterize yourself?
A clown.
Class clown.
Class clown. It was my mission to make people laugh.
Now, sometimes when it comes to class clowns, it could be a defense mechanism of some sort. Was that for you?
I wouldn't say so.
Okay.
I think, and even, you know, into the music part of it, I do my best to entertain people. So if I can pick up a vibe that you're not having a great day or you're not feeling the way you should be feeling, on top of your A game, whatever it takes, I'm gonna make you laugh somehow. I'm gonna entertain you somehow, some way, just so you know you can get your day back going.
Also, when it comes to class clowns, sometimes class clowns, it's just jokes, it's just fun.
Right.
But other times, class clowns, it can lead towards bullying at some point. The teasing becomes bullying.
Yeah.
Were you a bully back then?
I wasn't. I wasn't at all. And it's times different now too. Not so much different, but I think our class clowning wasn't so much a bullying. It was just trying to make somebody laugh. So we could be doing anything crazy just to make somebody laugh. But I think now it's more of attacking people instead of just trying to make someone laugh. So during the process of attacking somebody, you got other people laughing with you, but the one you're attacking ain't laughing so much. So then when they come back and decide they want to shoot up the school or do whatever, you know, that's usually the motive. So.
Now, back then, growing up, going into school, were you part of a certain clique? Were you part of a certain crowd?
I was by myself all the time. I had a handful of friends. I had a best friend I still have till this day. We were friends since second grade, so I kind of kept to myself. I didn't have a lot of people around. There was always trouble following, so I try to stay out of it as much as possible.
When you say trouble, are we talking about like street stuff trouble?
I definitely had that around. It wasn't to knock any of my friends that were in the streets, but, you know, I had a mission. I had things I wanted to do. And I figured, you know, I didn't want anything to hold me back from that, so I did what I had to do. I could still keep a friendship without, you know, judging anybody or, you know, whatever they had to do, that was them. I do my own thing at the end of the day, so.
You got involved with street activity at one point?
Nah. Try to stay away from it, and I actually did, so that was a good thing.
Now, just curious, some people, they do it and it consumes them, it becomes a lifestyle. Other people, they try to avoid it. For you, was there a certain reason why you stayed away from it? When some people, they do get consumed by it.
Yeah. I was always big on making my mama proud at the end of the day. And that was my only mission. So whatever it took, I pretty much did it. And I knew that wasn't a route to go because I didn't want her suffering or have to be worrying about whether I was gonna make it back home or anything like that. So I tried to stay positive as much as I could, so, yeah.
Just curious, back then in Camden, how big was gang activity?
It was big. It was big. It definitely got big, starting middle school probably, and then going on in high school, but it was heavy at one point. It's not so much now. It's kind of calmed down too, so.
Did you join one back then?
No, I stayed away from it. I stayed out of that.
Was there also a reason too why you stayed out of it?
Yeah, I like to wear clothes in different colors. I don't like nobody telling me what I need to wear and what I can't wear, so. Yeah.
Not for you.
Not for me at all.
Now, you did mention you played football.
I did.
Was that the only sport you played growing up? Going to school?
Baseball, and I played basketball. Football is the only school sport, but recreation was more of basketball and baseball. So.
And you ended up doing football also in college?
Yeah, for a little while.
Okay. Yeah. Was that something you got an athletic scholarship for?
I was working to get one, and then probably by the time I was getting ready to get one, I ran into my son's situation, so I came on home regardless of the scholarship.
So explain, because the son situation happens the first year in college, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you would have to get a scholarship before you enter college, right?
And I basically walked on at the school.
Oh,
mm-hmm.
Okay, I see.
Yeah.
Because you didn't get an athletic scholarship.
But they said I could come and work towards getting one.
Ah, I see.
Yeah.
Okay. And we'll talk about that a little bit more later. But as far as football, what position did you play?
Running back.
This was in high school?
Yes, and college.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And did you have a certain jersey number?
20 in high school, and it was 38 in college.
Was there a reason behind either number?
No, it's just a number I picked.
Now, you did do sports. What about as far as music? When did that come in your life?
Music was always a part of my life. My family, my mom's side especially, very music oriented. Choirs to singing at cookouts, whatever it is music always involved. If we ever get down to my grandma's house, we all singing. It's just music all the time. So it was always around. But she actually introduced me to hip hop. So that's where that started. And that's probably like age 11.
Okay.
Yeah.
When it came to music and it came to school, did you ever join the band? Did you ever do chorus?
No, I didn't do none of that.
Didn't do any of that?
Mm-mm.
Were you the type that was freestyling with other classmates? Were you battle rapping other classmates?
At one point, I was a little nervous to put my rhymes out there because I didn't know if I was good enough or not. And it was actually a few people that was already doing it, so I wasn't comfortable enough. And then I actually got to the point where I felt comfortable enough to at least pass my lyrics out, and everybody was reading it one day in the gyms, and it was just like, man, who wrote this? Who wrote this? And then I was like, well, you know what? I might be on to something. So after that, I just kind of took it seriously then, and it's been on since then. So,
what do you think was the turning point where you go from, not being confident to making that move to showing the lyrics?
It was a different feeling that day. It was just something said, give it to them, see what they say. Just get that feedback, and you know where you stand at that point. So after that, I felt better, and I was able to make some moves with it. So,
you remember what grade or what age that was probably back then?
I want to say that was 11th grade.
Did you participate in any talent shows back then?
We didn't have too many of those. So, whenever auditions came up around town or something like that, that's how I ended up meeting my manager. So, I auditioned in Columbia, and we met that night, and we've been rocking ever since then. So, yeah.
And what age were you when you did that?
21.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this was after the baby. This was after the college thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's when you do that
fall.
talent show and link up with the management.
Right.
How does that actually happen? Management pulls you to the side and says, "Hey, we want to work with you," or how does that?
He was actually one of the judges, and I had a partner at the time. We were a group, and after we kicked freestyles for the judges, I think it was 4 of them. 3 of them then wasn't really talking about much, and then after the end, he was just like, I want to work with y'all. So he ended up getting our CD and told us to meet him at the house, and we went by there. We met his family, and we just kind of went through the CD together. And he was just like, I got some great things I can do for y'all. I really don't have the connections like that, but I believe y'all have the talent to get to where y'all want to go. So I'm gonna work with y'all and do the best I can to get y'all to where y'all need to be. And eventually, the group thing didn't work out, but me and him still kicking it. So we still trying to get to the top. So we working.
You were in a duo?
I was.
What happened? Why didn't things work out?
Just differences. I mean, every group has differences, but sometimes you get to a point where you can't handle it no more, and you decide to part ways. So things happen.
With this other member, are you on good terms still? No terms?
Yeah. Whenever I see him, it was still speak. He's actually my cousin, as a matter of fact. So yeah.
Does this person still do music and pursue a music career themselves, or just you?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure at all. I mean, he probably still does, but I'm not sure at all.
Okay, just curious. Yeah. Now, back then, and we're talking about the school days here, after you do the lyric sheet situation, do you end up promoting a song in 11th or 12th grade before you start college, or no?
Well, at that time, I was recording out of my radio, so everything was on a cassette tape. And I actually got a friend of mine that knew somebody who could put it on a CD. So once I got the CD made, I started making copies of it and just started passing it around. And a good bit of people had it in school, so I started ringing bells a little bit.
Was it a particular song, or it was just the actual project?
Just that whole project.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, before you end up graduating, in the yearbook, especially senior year, they call them senior superlatives. They give out these awards like most likely to succeed, best dressed, biggest flirt, things like that. Did you ever earn one of those? Senior superlatives.
I don't think so. Maybe some people had, their own opinions, but not school opinionated, but just individual people. Probably label me for anything, who knows.
You graduate high school. Do you go enroll into college right away? Or do you take a break before college?
I went straight in.
And what school did you end up going to?
Catawba College. It's in Salisbury, North Carolina. And
why that? You could have chose any school.
My homeboy from 2nd grade actually got the scholarship there, so I figured it was a way to sneak in, to kind of get in while I was already good and try to work my way up. So I got him to talk to the recruiter. Sent my highlight tape off, and he was a little impressed. So that's when we got to working and said, you can work and try to get your scholarship. We don't have any money to give you right now, but come on up anyway. So I left.
Now, how much college do you actually get under your belt before you end up dropping out?
Maybe 2 semesters.
So freshman year?
Yeah.
And in the midst of all that, at what point do you find out you got somebody pregnant?
Well, she kept blowing my phone up. But it was the summer before I left to go to camp for football. So, but we had some issues. I didn't think it was mine at first, but how that goes. But we got DNA done. It ended up being mine, so that's when I, started looking at things a little different. I got to change some things. I can't do what I used to do, so.
You tried to continue to go to college after the baby's born, even though now you're a father, but things just ended up not working out.
Right. I just couldn't do it. I mean, I had to be around. I had to be there for him, so I didn't want him thinking, well, I know it's on a good note going to school, but at the same time, you're not around either. And you only see him on the weekends. This is not enough. And any parent that think that's enough, and I don't know what's wrong with them, but I definitely can't do it.
Now, when you make that decision to drop out, what was your parents' thoughts?
My mom was upset. My daddy pretty much understood. But at the end of the day, they understood at the end of the day. You gotta do what you gotta do, so.
Just curious here, before you end up dropping out and making that decision, did you think about joining a fraternity when you were at that school or no?
Nah, I never thought of stuff like that. I didn't think that was cool at all. I didn't knock nobody that's in it, but that just didn't fit me.
While you were going to college for that first year, did people know you rapped?
Majority of the football team did, yeah. And they had a studio in the school too, but I just never went down there. I just waited till I got back home and did what I had to do and then come back.
Hindsight 2020, looking at things now, the way everything played out, did you make the right decision by dropping out?
I think so. To get where I'm at now, definitely. It all played a part.
Now, earlier in this interview segment, you mentioned you had some jobs.
Mm.
What was the resume looking like? What jobs did you do growing up?
I started off at Piggly Wiggly, grocery store, bagging groceries.
Remember what age?
I was 15.
Okay.
While I was in college, before I left, I got a job at Lowe's. And then I left Lowe's because there wasn't enough money and started working in dialysis. And I don't know how I made it, but I did. But I just knew I had to take care of my child, so whatever it was, I was willing to do it, so.
At Lowe's, what was the specific job you had to do?
It was more just loading customers, whatever they bought, just put it in their cars. Yeah.
And when you say, in reference to the dialysis gig, you didn't know how you did it, but you did it. What did you mean by that exactly?
Well, they train you on the job, and they put you to class for like 3 months, and you have to take 2 tests. The first test you take is within the company, and then the second test is like a part of like, the big board, the way you get your certification. And it was rough. It was rough starting out because I didn't think I could do it. But I know if I didn't get the job, I didn't know what I was gonna do. My mama couldn't help me, my daddy couldn't help me, so I was basically on my own at that point, so, but I made it work.
Now, any of these jobs you mentioned tough? Piggly Wiggly, Lowe's, the dialysis job. Any of them tough?
Dialysis, definitely. Yeah. The other two pretty easy.
I see. That dialysis job, you were working in a hospital, or was it like a private?
Like a private clinic.
A private clinic.
Mm-hmm.
Just curious, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Let's say you come up with a large sum of money.
Mm-hmm.
Would you ever own one?
I can see myself doing that. Just so I know the struggles behind it. And I got a grandma that's in there now, so not at mine that I was at, but another one, so.
Now, thinking back on any of these jobs that you did, any crazy stories, anything that happened out of the norm? Piggly Wiggly, Lowe's, or even the dialysis gig?
Nothing too crazy. It's just normal life events, especially with the dialysis. You know, people here one day, gone the next. Yeah.
With the Lowe's job, it sounds like you quit that one because the money wasn't enough.
Yeah, and then I tried to work that and dialysis at the same time. Leave one and go to the next, but it was the schedules just wasn't working, so I had to do what I had to do.
With the Piggly Wiggly job or the dialysis gig, did you end up quitting those or getting fired?
I was close to getting fired at Lowe's from being tardy so much, from leaving one job going to the other. But Pig, I left on my own.
Now, when it comes to your family, we talked about mom and dad. What about as far as siblings?
I got one brother.
Younger or older?
Younger.
So you're the oldest on the ladder.
Yep.
Being the oldest, is that a tough position or a sweet position?
It's tough. You set to a higher standard. You kind of look like next in line. If daddy's gone, you kind of like the new man in charge, and it's a lot on your plate at times. But you know, only the strong survive.
Let's say somebody's watching this and they're the oldest in the family.
Mm.
Any words to somebody watching this right now? Anything you would tell them?
Stay strong and do it the best you can for your family. Whatever it takes to keep everybody afloat.
Now, you mentioned your cousin here did music with you at one point. Anybody else in your family does music? Or just you?
I had quite a few. I had two that were like gospel singers. They were in a group. But I don't think they're doing that anymore now. So.
Did you ever collaborate with them at all when they were doing that?
No.
Didn't? Now, what does your family think about your music career choice at this point?
Very supportive of it. Always interested in what I got going on. But mostly, yeah, very supportive.
When it comes to your parents, were they supportive right away or did they have to warm up to it?
My mom actually thought it was funny. She came in one night, I was recording in my room, and pretty much laughed at the mic standing up in the middle of my room, but I didn't think she'd take it serious at first. But then when she started seeing some results, she was just, you know, okay, he's serious about it, so.
Now, it's one thing for a parent to support what their child does. It's another for them to actually like what their child does. In this case, do your parents actually like your music?
I would say so. At least what I let her hear, because she like more of the dancing type music, so sometimes I'll sample some old records and just kind of mix it up with my style, and she ended up liking it, so.
What about the cussing?
No, she don't care for that. She always told me I could make music without cursing, so I listen sometimes.
Have your parents had a chance to see you perform live yet?
My mama did, my daddy didn't.
Did you know your mom was coming to the show or was it a surprise?
She was pretty much already out there, yeah.
Is it a different feeling knowing your mom is in the crowd versus when you perform and she's not?
Yeah. I figure she's somewhat embracing me a little bit, but if she's not in the crowd, I'll probably be doing some other stuff. I can go ahead and curse then, but I try not to as long as she's around.
Were you nervous at all?
Not at all.
Wasn't awkward?
No, it wasn't awkward. I think I was, like I said, I've always been trying to impress her, so it was more of trying to impress her than anything, so I wasn't shy at all. More confident than anything.
When it comes to mom or dad, best advice either of them have ever given you at this point? Thinking back all the advice, all the jewels they dropped, something that sticks in your head just with me even asking that question, something they say.
Just think before you do things. There's always one that stuck with me.
You following it?
Still am.